Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunvitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovisam Stapitan Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantitam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padapamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupa Sagrajata Sagana Raghunatamitam Parisadhivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitamsam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Dajapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Purnamami Haripriye Panchatapa Taru Vishwati Sindhu Vyai Vacha Ridanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, you're welcome. So let's recite our shlokas. Those who are ready to recite, yes, Mother Angel.
I'll try. Okay.
Yes, please.
Chapter 13, verse 8. Okay. Chapter 13, verse 8. Wait. Again. Purusha prakriti stohe bhakti prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosha sada sadhini janmaso. Translation. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
I'll go next, Prabhu. Purusha prakritisto hi bhungte prakritijan gunan karanam guna sangosya sadha sadyo nijanmasu. The living entity, in the material, the living entity in the material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with material nature. Thus, he meets with the good and evil among various species. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go next.
Yes, Madam. Please.
1 second. Purusha prakriti stohi bhakti prakriti jan gunan karanam gunasangosha sadasajini janmasu. Translation. The living entity in material nature. What was that? 1 second. The living entity. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of material nature. Enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with the good and evil among various species. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Madam Tripura.
Hare Krishna. I'll try, Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
13.22. Purusha prakritisto hi bhungte prakriti jan guna karanam guna sangasya sad asad yoni janmasu. Translation. The living entity in the material nature thus follows the way of life by enjoying the three modes of nature. This is because of the association with the material modes of material nature. Thus, they come across the good and evil among various species. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Modaliki is not here today. What happened?
She will be late for a bit, for a few minutes, Prabhu. She has a meeting.
Oh, she sent me a message. I didn't check. Sorry. I just remember that I saw a message, but I've not opened it. Okay, okay. Okay, it's okay. I've seen the message. Yeah. So who's going to summarize for us?
Try to summarize, Prabhu, but the
Very
devotees
good.
can add it to it.
No problem, no problem. Go ahead. Whatever you give us, we appreciate.
Yesterday we have discussed the 27th verse, started from the 27th verse of the chapter 13. We discussed like everything we see, the trees, the material body, everything, like they have the body and soul. Whether it is moving or non-moving, everything contains the soul. And the next verse is like realizing soul is eternal. That is like realizing the soul, which that is eternal, is a true knowledge. We have discussed that some people think themselves as God and living such environments, but for them it is very important to realize God, the true self, the supreme soul, and the soul which resides in everyone's heart. When we realize God is present in everyone, we respect everyone. We will not try to degrade then we will be able to not degrade ourselves, and we won't be able to exploit others. This type of consciousness very less people have. That's the reason they just exploit others. Then when we realize that God resides in everyone's heart, then we will be able to pay obeisances to them and recognize the supreme soul residing in them. All activities are done by the body and influence of material modes of nature. It is not entangled. The soul does not get entangled with any of the reactions. Everything is based on our desire. Soul is completely detached, not affected by anything. It is a body which enjoys and suffer. So and we also discuss like in this material world, people will be so selfish and think only about themselves. But once we realize the presence of God in everyone's heart, then our attitude and consciousness immediately changes. So that is the importance of this knowledge. That is this true knowledge. So we should be able to understand. And we also discuss like how the sun illuminates, how the sun give its radiation to all of the universe. The consciousness, the supreme soul which is residing in the heart, illuminates all through our body. So that is the consciousness. And when the consciousness is degraded, when we lost the consciousness, the symptom of soul in the body will be lost. So we have seen the analogy of the sunlight compared to the human body. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your summary. Hare Krishna Madaniki, thank you. I saw your message late, so please forgive me. I just check your message now. But I saw the message that you
Yes,
come.
Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you. So today we are going to enter into chapter 14. Chapter 14, the awaited verse, chapter we have been waiting for. This chapter is going to be very, very self-revealing. Let's go through the summary. Okay. Okay. Are you with me? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
So we are going in the, you can see the picture. What is happening in this material? Can you see that picture? This is actually what is
Yes.
happening. That is
It's
what
the
is
three
happening.
modes. It's the
Yeah,
three
we
modes.
are like puppets in the hands of the three modes. We are like puppets in the hands of the three modes. Although we think that we are the doer, but actually we are like puppets in the hands of the three modes. And the three modes is a puppeteer, you know, pulling us, and we are dancing to our modes like that. So that's chapter 14. Okay, so like I said earlier on the link from the previous chapter, I mentioned that this chapter we are memorizing is the link between chapter 14 and 13. Because Krishna mentioned there about the three modes and how the different entities suffer and enjoy because of the three modes. So because Krishna mentioned that, so Krishna now further going to explain this detailed knowledge to Arjuna in chapter 14, because he already mentioned that. So he wants to give Arjuna the full details. Okay. So that is it. So in 1 to 9, like in verse 1 and verse 2, Krishna gave introduction about what is going to speak to Arjuna by glorifying the knowledge is going to give to Arjuna. How the knowledge is very special. Okay. Then Krishna started talking about the conditioning of the modes. How he impregnates the living entity in the material nature. How he is the father of the living entity. How he impregnate the living entity in the material nature, and in that, based on that, the living entity are under the influence of the three modes. So in 10 to 18, Krishna is going to speak about the characteristics and action and death in the modes. The different characteristics of different modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Krishna is going to describe that from 10 to 18. Then from 19 to 27, the end of the chapter, Krishna is going to talk about how to transcend these modes in 9 verses. Krishna is going to describe how to transcend these modes, okay? Because he's going to explain how this mode is controlling everything, and also at the same time, he's going to tell us how to transcend the mode that we can become happy. So like we say, the 3 modes. If you see the picture here, you will see the animal, they are in the mode of ignorance. These people who are trying to fight or enjoy, they are in the mode of passion. The human beings are in the mode of passion, and the demigod, they are in the mode of goodness, like that. That is the picture there. So Krishna glorified the pure knowledge. So in text 1 and 2, Krishna will glorify the knowledge he's going to give to Arjuna. Okay, so that is very important to understand. So here, summary, Jiva, the living entity and the Prakriti. So how Krishna impregnates the Prakriti, we mentioned it in text 3. Then how is the father, and Krishna is the father, Prakriti is the mother. So that is Krishna impregnates Prakriti. That is how Krishna is the father and Prakriti is the mother. And the bondage, we start talking about the different mode from text 5, about the model bondage by the Tattva, bondage by Raja, and bondage by Kama. So in 9, Krishna will now summarize all what he has just explained before. Okay, so the modes are like the 3 major colors. What are the 3 major colors? The primary colors: yellow, blue, and red. Yellow, blue, and red are the primary colors. But when you mix these 3 colors, you get so many colors. Similarly, the primary mode is goodness, passion, and ignorance. But the mixture of these 3 modes give us 8,400,000 bodies. Because the modes mixed in different color, in different nature, give 8,400,000 species. So it means that the 8,400,000 species we have in material world is the variety of desires of the living entity under the influence of the modes of nature. Okay, if you multiply 3 by 3, 9 by 9, what will you get? 3 by 3, 9 by 9, what is that? 9 times 9, what is that?
9 times 9, 81.
81. So that is it. That's how you get the multiplication. 81, then you add the other 3, 84. They give you 8,400,000 species. Thousands. Okay. So that is the 3 modes, the 3 colors. And when they are mixed, they give all these other colors. So here also continuation, how does the every living entity according to the past activity have different body created by some people are kings, some people are animals, some people are human beings. So based on our past desire, we get different bodies. So in continuation, between 3 and 9, Papa mentioned the purpose of the living entity because he is transcendental, has nothing to do with this material. Just like we read before in the previous verse also, in previous chapter. The living entity has nothing to do with this material nature because he has become conditioned by the material world. He is acting under the spell of the 3 modes of material nature. So we are acting, even though we are completely independent, but we are acting under the spell of material nature. Okay? So Okay. So then, sorry. The difficult here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, okay, it becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. That is the situation of the people in the mode of goodness. They think that they are advanced than others because they are in knowledge. That is what happened in India also, the Brahmanas. They treat others in caste, as untouchable because they think that they are the Brahmanas and others are less than them. So that is what brought down created the problem in the caste system in India. So that is one of the major problem of those conditions with mode of goodness. They think that they are better than others, okay, because they have knowledge. So then we continue from test 10 to 18, like I mentioned, the characteristic, action, and the death in the modes on different modes. So there's competition for supremacy among these modes. Sometimes the modes of goodness want to take over us. Sometimes mode of passion become prominent. Sometimes mode of goodness become prominent. You can perceive this based on our various activities during the day. Sometimes mode of goodness is very prominent in our day. Sometimes mode of passion is very prominent. Sometimes mode of ignorance is more prominent. So there's competition for this mode, okay, in our life. So like that. So which mode is prominent? You see, depending on your consciousness, okay? So we have long-time destination after death, what happened, and medium-term, what happened about action and direction, about the effect and the condition of these different modes. Just like I said before, so in the mode of material about death, those who die go to, in the mode of goodness, they go to heavenly planet. Those who die in the mode of passion, they remain on the earthly planet. And those who die in the mode of ignorance, they go to the animal kingdom. Some people have the impression that when the soul reaches the platform of human life, it never goes down again. This is incorrect. According to this verse, if one develops the mode of ignorance after his death, it's degraded on the animal form of life. Okay. So destination in the three modes, like I mentioned before. Okay. So this is the understanding the mode. Just as an artist produces variety of picture by mixing the three colors. Similarly, also 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 9 is 81. This is how you get 8,400,000 species of body multiplied by thousands, according to the desire of the living entity. Okay, then Krishna is going to explain how to transcend these modes. Okay, seeing the mode as the doer, Lord as transcendental, result of surpassing the mode. Why? What is the symptom? So Arjuna asked the question, what is the behavior? What is the process of transcending the mode? Then Krishna responds by explaining that to Arjuna in 14:26. If one is not situated in the same transcendental position with the Lord, one cannot serve the Supreme Lord. To be personal assistant of the king, one must acquire the qualification. Thus, the qualification is to become Brahman or free from all material contamination. So you cannot serve the king unless you have acquired some particular qualification. So similarly, for you to be able to come to the mode of goodness or to serve Krishna, you must come to the level of Brahman. And Krishna, we are going to read that 14:26. Okay? Going beyond the mode. So the Supreme Lord is full of 6 opulences, and when the body approaching, there's an exchange of these opulences. The servant of the king enjoyed as almost equal level with the king. Like I was explaining this morning, in some of us who are living in the temple in San Antonio, many of us ordinarily, if we are working in the material world, we don't have money to afford to stay in that kind of apartment. You see, but because we are serving Krishna, so we have the opportunity to stay on the same house with Krishna, eat the same food with Krishna. So that is what happens when you become liberated. You're able to stay in the same planet with Krishna. You have the same bodily feature with Krishna. You have the same opulences with Krishna. That is what is happening in the temple there. I was explaining this morning also. So that is it. So that is the conclusion. So that is the summary of what we are going to do. Any question, comments? So without wasting time, let's continue since there's no question. just to give summary. Okay, Shibhagavan Uvacha Paramboya Pravashyami Jnananam Jangyana Uttamam Yagyatva Munaye Sarve Param Siddhimito Gataha. So Krishna is explaining here to Arjuna that the Supreme Person of God say, again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all the knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. So Krishna is saying, by understanding these three modes of material nature, that is what has given liberation to the sages. To tell you how important this knowledge is. Very important. Okay? So we should take it very serious. We should study it again and again to understand it. Somebody want to read the purport?
I'll read it, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
From the 7th chapter to the end of the 12th chapter, Sri Krishna in detail reveals that absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now the Lord himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he will come to an understanding of devotional service. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be free from material entanglement. It has also been explained that it is due to association with the modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now, in this chapter, the Supreme Personality explains that those modes of nature are how they act, how they bind, how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to the superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attain perfection and are transferred to spiritual world.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhu.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So that you can understand is very simple. Krishna, Prabhupada made it very simple in the purport, just like Krishna explained in the verse. If you understand about these three modes, you will become liberated. It's very simple because everything we are doing is covered by these three modes. That is why the Brahmanas, they are very, very, careful not to bring themselves to lower modes. They're very conscious of what they eat, where they sleep, the cleanness around them. They're very conscious about all these things so that they can always remain in the mode of goodness. So mode of goodness, that is why sometimes they can easily become arrogant also, thinking that they are better than others because of their knowledge. See? So it's very important to understand this. So this knowledge, if we can understand this chapter, which Krishna is going to explain here in the consequent chapters also, about this influence of the modes. Sometime after studying this chapter, I become amazed. How sometimes when you just see something happening or somebody acting in a particular way, you just sit down and smile because you can just see the clear influence of the modes pulling the string. Just like we saw the very nice picture at that time of the puppeteer and the puppet. Okay, let's continue. Let me know if you have any question in between. Okay. Idam jnana upashritya mama sadam yayagata tarigepi nopajayate pralayena vitantacha. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. So Krishna is telling us again and again how this creation and dissolution is going on eternally. But once you have full knowledge of this how these modes is the one controlling everything in this material world, and you are able to transcend this mode by acquiring this knowledge, then you become liberated. You'll never come back to this material world again. You see? That is the importance of this knowledge. Okay, let's read Prabhupada's purport.
Already, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. One does not, however, lose his identity as individual soul. It is understood from the Vedic literature, that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in his transcendental loving service. So even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes of nature, it's called transcendental knowledge. As long as one is situated in transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from material activities of the material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless, without any variegateness. However, just as there is material variegateness in this world, in the spiritual world, there is also variegateness. Those in ignorance of these things that spiritual existence is supposed to material variety, but actually in the spiritual sky, one attains spiritual form. There are spiritual activities in a spiritual situation. It's called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there's one is equality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who does develop spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. We're going to, as we are studying this chapter, I want us also to look at I want you to have the advantage of studying it also in chapter 12. So we're going to take our time on this chapter a little bit, okay? I want us to study it also in chapter 12. Chapter 12. No, I think it's chapter 12. Canto 11, chapter 25. Canto 11, chapter 25. The three modes of nature and beyond. So we're going to study that also, so that we can understand what Krishna is explaining to Arjuna and what Krishna explained to Uddhava. We can compare and contrast. Is that okay? It's going to be very wonderful. But Krishna is the same Krishna who spoke the same knowledge to Uddhava in Canto 12. Mama yoni maha brahma tasma garvan dadami aham sambhava sarva bhutanam tato bhavati bharata. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth. And it is this Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living entity, O son of Peter. So Krishna is describing how we all appear in this material world. How is the father and the material nature is the mother. I impregnate, so Krishna is the father, material nature is the mother. That is why he said that we are all part and parcel of Krishna. So we are all part and parcel of Krishna eternally. So it's by the glance of Krishna He impregnates the material nature with all the jivas. Let's read purport.
Read it, Prabhu.
Yes, madam. Right.
This is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetraga, the body and the spirit soul. This combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God Himself. The Mahatattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation, and that total substance of the material cause, in which there are three modes of nature, is sometimes called Brahman. The Supreme Personality impregnates that total substance, and thus innumerable universes become possible. This total material substance, the Mahatattva, is described as Brahman in the Vedic literature. Mundaka Upanishad 1.1.19 Tasmad etad Brahma nama rupam anam cha jayate. The Supreme Person impregnates that Brahman with the seeds of the living entities. The 24 elements beginning from earth, water, fire, and air are all material energy, and they constitute what is called the Mahat Brahma, or the Great Brahman, the material nature. As explained in the 7th chapter, beyond this there is another superior nature, the living entity. Into the material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thereafter all living entities are born of this material nature. The scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice, but the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as products of material nature. Thus, every living entity, something popped up, according to his past activities, has different body, created by this material nature, so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all the manifestations of living entities in this material world. Hare Krishna.
Now, so also in other places it's mentioned that when the Lord Krishna is speaking here, how is the father of the living entity is referring to his form as Sadashiva. Because Lord Shiva is the father of all living entity, and Mother Durga. Anyway, where is Bhavani Shri Mangala? She's not coming in. She didn't come today. Okay. Mother Chipura, you can tell her that we asked of her, okay? So, yeah, so Mother Durga, she is the mother of the universe. She is the personification of material nature. While Lord Shiva is the father of the material nature. So according to the Veda, the scripture, that glance of Mahavishnu become personified as the Sadashiva. That glance that impregnates material nature become personified in the form of Lord Shiva. So that is how Lord Shiva is the father of all the living entity, and the mother is Prakriti or Mother Durga. Okay, so let me continue. Now let's go to verse 4. Krishna already explained, glorify what he's going to tell Arjuna, and now he's telling him how the living entity come into material nature. Then after that, what happened after they come into the material nature? After impregnate them with the Sarva Yonishu Kunteya Mutaya Sambhavatiya Tasma Brahma Mahajoni Aham Bija Pradapita. It should be understood that all the species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature. But I am the seed-giving father. So all the living entities, they are impregnated in the material nature, and they come into the world by birth. So Krishna says, is the original seed-giving father. Aham yoni mama pradipita. Mahayoni Aham Bija 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 Bija. Tasma Brahman Mahayoni Aham Bija Bija Bija. So Krishna is the source of the, is like the seed-giving father of all living entities in that form. And then from 5, we start hearing what happens to the living entity once they take birth in the material nature. Okay, someone want to read? Who has not read before wants to read?
Okay, I'll read. In this verse, it is clearly explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original father of all living entities. The living entities are combinations of the material nature and the spiritual nature. Such living entities are seen not only on this planet, but on every planet, even on the highest, where Brahma is situated. Everywhere, there are living entities. Within the earth, there are living entities, even within water and within fire. All these appearances are due to the mother, material nature, and Krishna's seed-giving process. The purport is that the material world is impregnated with living entities who come out in various forms at the time of creation according to their past deeds. Hare Krishna.
So what happened is that whatever is our karma, whatever is our proclivities, when the material nature is winding up, we go into the body of Mahavishnu in that nature. Whenever there is manifestation again, we start again from where we left off. So this is how this continual process takes place, billions and millions and millions. That is why it's considered to be eternal, because it's beginningless. So that is why we are very fortunate that in this lifetime, we are waking, and we are fortunate to come in contact with this supreme knowledge. So that is why we should take advantage and don't come back into this cycle of repeated birth and death again. Okay? Now let us hear what we have been waiting for. Sattvam Rajastama iti Jona Prakriti Sambhava Nibadnanti Mahabahu Dehya Dehinam Avyayam. So here Krishna is describing the first verse, talking about the modes of material nature. Material nature consists of 3 modes. So Krishna has already explained how he impregnates the material nature and how he is the seed-giving father, and every living entity is made by birth in this material world. Now we start describing what this material nature is made up of. Material nature consists of 3 modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with this nature, which we are all experiencing now, Krishna, we all have the same quality with Krishna, but once we enter into the material body, in contact with nature, then Almighty Amajun, it becomes conditioned by these 3 modes. So once we come in contact with the material nature, we become conditioned by these 3 modes. So what are those modes we are conditioned by? Somebody want to tell us?
Goodness, passion, ignorance.
Thank you very much. Yes, you got it. Okay, so let's study the purport.
Prabhuji.
I'll read Prabhuji.
Okay.
The living entity, because he is the transcendental, has nothing to do with this material nature. Still, because he has become conditioned by the material world, he is acting under the spell of the 3 modes of material nature. Because living entities have different kinds of bodies in terms of different aspects of nature. They are induced to act according to that nature. This is the cause of varieties of happiness and distress.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So because we are being influenced by this mode, that is the cause of happiness and distress. That is the main reason Krishna is always telling us to be what? I'm asking a question. That is the main reason why Krishna is saying we should be what?
Equipoised?
Yes, thank you. Yes, to be equipoised, to be indifferent. Thank you very much. Because why? This is the product of material nature. The soul itself is completely aloof. You know, it's just like you becoming disturbed by your car. Now, let's say you have a car and you are becoming disturbed based on how the car functions. That is what is happening. You yourself, who is driving the car, you are completely different from the car. You see? So now being disturbed by the situation of the car, that is our situation in this material world. So we are the soul inside this body, but we are being influenced by this modes of material. And because of the interaction of like we read in chapter 13 also, the interaction of this field of activity is what is producing happiness, distress, joy, what mention them, sadness, and all this is the interaction of the mode that is producing all these results. And now, if we are being disturbed by this, the interaction of the material nature, then we are always disturbed. So that's why Krishna is telling us that we should be equiposed. We should try to be neutral. Sometimes somebody do something that is really very pleasing. Oh, you're very happy. And somebody do something that is not pleasing. Oh, you feel very sad. You should try to find always balance. Somebody do something that is very happy, makes you happy. Okay, be happy, just be happy. Don't overdo it. Somebody do something that is not very pleasing. Take notes. Don't be so sad. Try to find, always find balance. Be neutral. The more we practice this attitude, the more we become happy in life. The more we understand what life is all about. If we don't practice this, then it will be very difficult for us to be able to navigate life. Because I know in the material world, there are people who are very, very good in giving others calculated anxieties. Let's say, for example, people find out your weakness and they know that this person, if I press this button, this is how he's going to react. So whenever they want you to react like that, they will always press that button. Then you start acting. You see, it means that you have given your remote control to that person. So whenever I want to see that particular reaction, he knows what to press. And you start acting. And he will just sit down and be watching the drama that he has created for you to be displaying. And he'll be smiling. So, but if you take back your remote control from that person, and whenever the person comes to act in that particular way, and you become indifferent, you act in a very indifferent way, not disturbed, the person itself will become amazed, like, what is going on? He's not acting. Why is he not acting? He's supposed to act. Once you take back your control from that person, then he loses control. Then he will never control you again. You know, oh, that doesn't work again. Then we'll be looking for other means. So that is the nature of material world. Just like your boss. If you're working the material world, if your boss has studied you, or you have studied your boss, whatever, it may be vice versa, and he knows what to do to really make you to act, to drama. So anytime you want that reaction, he will know what to do. You will just press the button and you start acting. Because that is what he's expecting. Or whenever you want to make your boss also angry, you know what to do. And he also will start acting. Because all these things are the influence of this modes of material nature. So we should not allow these things to, that is why Krishna again and again in the Bhagavad Gita always stressing we should try to be neutral, not disturbed by happiness and distress, fame or infamy, honor or dishonor. Krishna again and again repeating this same thing again and again in the chapter in Bhagavad Gita, because that is how to really transcend this mode. Okay, let's continue. We have 14 minutes more. Let's read more about these modes. It's going to be very, very interesting actually, because as we are reading it, just try to mirror yourself. Okay, as we are reading it, try to mirror yourself. Which mode did I where? Because we are going to, like I said, also we are going to do comparative study with Bhagavatam also. We're doing the comparative study with Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so sometimes we go into the Bhagavatam to pick the same thing Krishna is explaining to Uddhava and also compare it to what Krishna is telling Arjuna here. Then we can see more detailed knowledge about these three modes. I purposely want to do this so that we can gain more knowledge about the three modes because Krishna really went into detail with Uddhava. Okay, so I want you to be more aware of these three modes. That's why we're going to be going to Bhagavatam and to level to study this also. Okay, let's continue. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashankam anamayam sukasangena badnati jnana sangena chanaga. Okay, Krishna is saying here, O sinless one, calling Arjuna, O sinless one, the most of goodness, being purer. Why Krishna is calling Arjuna O sinless one here? Because Arjuna is on the higher mode, is transcendental. That's why he's calling him here. He is O sinless one. Arjuna, you don't worry, you are beyond the modes. Okay, so I'm going to describe to you about the mode, but you are transcendental, you are beyond the mode, so you are sinless. So all sinless one, being purer than the others, goodness is illuminating, is free from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and goodness and knowledge. So those who are in the mode of goodness, they are free from sinful reaction. They don't commit sin again. They are not interested in committing sin because they are in the mode of, they are in knowledge. They are in the mode of goodness. Okay. And because of that, they are conditioned by happiness and knowledge. It's still conditioned. Whether happiness, whether it's the goodness or passion or ignorance, the people also in the goodness, they are still conditioned. That's why it's used here. Condition. Okay. Let's read Prabhupada's purpose about this, the first mode. You want to read?
Okay. The living entities conditioned by material nature are various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. All these types of psychological manifestation are caused of the entity's conditioned status in nature. How they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. The mode of goodness, the first considered. The effect of developing the mode of goodness in the material world is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. A man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type is the Brahmana, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from simple reaction. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and a greater sense of happiness. The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best example are the scientist and the philosopher. Each, each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they are generally improved their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. The sense of advanced happiness is conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted toward working in the mode of goodness, and as long as they have attraction for working in that way, they have to take some types of body in the mode of nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, or repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantage of birth and death. But due to the illusion material energy, one thinks that sort of life is pleasant. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. So that is the mode of goodness. We have greater knowledge, and the more knowledgeable you are, the more you become free from sinful reactions. Knowledge, who can remind us the glorification of knowledge in chapter 4? Somebody want to remind us where Krishna described the glories of knowledge? Let's see whether you are remembering what you have studied before. Okay, quickly, let's open to chapter 4. There's 35 or 36, one of them. Let's read about the glories of knowledge. Krishna explained there.
Okay. Verse 35, having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine.
Okay, read that, please.
Okay, verse 36. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. Hare Krishna.
This is the importance of knowledge. That is why those who are on the platform of goodness, because they are conditioned by knowledge, they are naturally happy because they are free from sinful reaction. And generally, they are said to be conditioned because Prabhupada also mentioned in this purport that because of this their situation, they think that they are better than others. So that is the nature of those in the mode of goodness, which is conditioning also. Okay, but at least they're happy. But let's read about others. Now we're going to read about the mode of passion. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi Krishna sangha samudbhava tani badnati kaunteya karma sangena deinam. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longing. O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living is bound to material food actions. So if you have if you have unlimited desires and you're always longing for something, then definitely you don't need anyone to tell you that you are prominently situated in the mode of passion. Okay. You don't need anyone. Let's see what Prabhupada is saying. Okay.
I'll read it, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
The mode of passion is characterized by the attraction between man and woman. Woman has big attraction for man, and man has attraction for woman. This is called the mode of passion. And when the mode of passion is increased, one develops the hankering for material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, a man is the mode of passion, wants some honor in society or in the nation, and he wants to have a happy family with the nice children, wife, and house. These are the products of the mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that he becomes associated with the fruits of his activities and thus becomes bound by such activities. In order to please his wife, children, and society, and to keep up his prestige, one has to work. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of the mode of passion. Formerly, the advanced condition was considered to be in the mode of goodness. If there is no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in the mode of passion? Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada is saying here, practically everyone in this matter was in the mode of passion, platform of passion, because we are all doing the same thing, you know. So it's very easy. So we can understand what goodness is all about. That's why you have few people who are Brahmanes. Very few. For majority, mode of passion. So now let us hear about the mode of ignorance. Then we will stop for today. Then we'll continue from to where we stop tomorrow. Tamastwa agyan janvidi mohan sarvadeinam pramadalasya nidravis tani badnati bharata. O son of Bharat, know that mode of darkness born of ignorance is the delusion of all embodied living entity. The result of this mode are madness, idleness, and sleep. We found the condition so. Okay. So whenever we fall asleep at night, we are deeply in the mode of ignorance, because that is symptom of ignorance. Okay. And also procrastination. It's not mentioned here. We will read it in the letter. What is indolence? Who will tell us what is the meaning of indolence? Indolence. What is the meaning of indolence?
Being tardy.
Huh?
Being tardy. Procrastinating.
Procrastination.
Laziness.
Yeah, that is the simple word, laziness. Yes, thank you. Yes. Madness, also proper, we explain the meaning of madness. Okay. Let's read purport. Okay, let's read purport.
Read it, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
In this verse, the specific application of the word tu is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. And the mode of goodness.
Wait there. The mode of good ignorance is what?
Opposite of the mode of ignorance.
So it means that sometimes you think you are in the mode of goodness, but actually you are deeply in the mode of ignorance. Because people who are in the mode of ignorance, they think that they behave just, let me give you an example. I don't know, have you seen cow? You see how cow is very gentle? Yeah, that is how those who are in the mode of goodness, they are very gentle because of knowledge. They are very calm and gentle. Sometimes also, people in the mode of ignorance also, they are like that. They look like that, very much like that. But they are completely opposite. Let's continue.
In the mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what, but the mode of ignorance is just the opposite. Everyone under the spell of the mode of ignorance becomes mad, and a madman cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded. The definition of the mode of ignorance is stated in the Vedic literature, Vastu yatatmya jnana varakam viparyaya jnana janakam tamaha. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is. For example, everyone can see that his grandfather has died, and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. The children that he conceives will also die, so death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness. In their madness, they are very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy. When they are invited to associate with spiritual understanding, they are not much interested. They are not even active like man who is controlled by the mode of passion. Thus, another symptom of one embedded in the mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient, but a man in the mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of a person conditioned by the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Okay, what is one of the main, so I already explained about madness, about the laziness, the ignorance, and the sleep. So what is the symptom that one is in mode of ignorance in terms of sleep? Is sleep more than?
What is required?
Required. So if you love sleep so much that you sleep more than 6 hours in a day, then surely you are under the influence of ignorance. So that is why this is how you know, like Krishna already explaining the symptoms. Thus, in the mode of goodness, you love knowledge, you want to read, acquire knowledge, study the scriptures, and because of that, you're always happy. And also in the mode of passion, they have unlimited desire, they want this, they want that. Because of that, they are working very hard, and those in the mode of ignorance, madness, indolence, sleep. These are some already, Krishna is giving some symptoms of these three modes. So let's take notes. Any question or comment? No question, no comments? Are we prepared for our presentation tomorrow? Summary of chapter 13? Just 6 verses, nothing. Don't bother yourself so much. 6 verses is nothing. Just one PowerPoint or two to be able to explain the 6 verses. Okay? Don't stress yourself so much. Is that okay? Are we ready, getting ready? Yes. Any question? Any comments?
Prabhu, I did not recite my sloka tonight.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
I'll do it. Okay. Chapter 13, text 22. Purusha prakriti shtohi. Bhumte prakriti chan gunan. Karanam guna samgosha. Sad asad yoni janmasu. Translation. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Nice. What a nice way to end the class. Vanshatapatarubhyascha, kripasindhubhyevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you very much for taking your recitation of your sloka very seriously. So see you tomorrow.